Welcome back to Afternoon Live. Our next guest is a best-selling author who gave us behind-the-scenes stories from Sex and the City, Seinfeld, and Mean Girls. Her upcoming book shares a look at the star-making sitcom set in Pawnee, Indiana. We welcome back the author of Parks and Rec, the underdog TV show that literally inspired a vision for a better America, Jennifer Keishin Armstrong. It is so great to see you.
Thank you. And that made me really happy to see the book up there. It's like the first time I'm talking about it publicly, so it's so fun to see.
The cover art is so adorable. Waffles and bacon and Lil Sebastian. Obviously, you're very happy with it. I think it's adorable.
It's great. And it's so nice because, I don't make the cover, so it's like you get to brag extra about that. And it's the first thing they sent me. I laughed out loud when I got it, and I was like, I have no notes.
No notes. Absolutely love it. Well, tell me about taking on this project, because Parks and Rec has this incredible lifespan that continues today with new fans finding it via streaming, but it kind of had a rough start, right? Like the ratings weren't incredible in the beginning.
Yeah, and it's funny because I think a lot of people don't realize this now because of its streaming popularity, but it barely stayed on the air every year that it was on, which actually makes for a great story. So for me, this was kind of great because I got the best of both worlds. Like, it's a super underdog story of them just constantly trying to stay on the air. And then it comes onto streaming during the pandemic, and I think the timing was just right. And suddenly, like, people wanted that comfort so badly. And I've heard from so many people who watched the show, particularly with their kids during the pandemic.
Yeah, it's so aspirational, and there's so much love and care you can tell put by everyone who had a part in making the show. Tell me about diving into the project and getting to interview so many of these wonderful people. It has such a great reputation for the whole crew just being so kind.
It's honestly like, I cannot overstate it. It's truly like whatever you think about them, they're even better, which is bizarre, particularly, I hate to say it, in Hollywood. um, don't meet your idols and all of that. This has just been like the absolute joy of my life. I mean, truly like a spiritual experience talking to these people. They really, I think, because everyone was good, it just kind of like built on each other. And they told me over and over again that their main policy was just that they hired people that they wanted to work with. And that comes through because their joy in each other is on screen, and it just kind of all builds together to make this beautiful thing that feels so warm and like a family.
It is so fun. Tell me about Nick Offerman writes the foreword. That's got to be a huge stamp of approval.
It really, really is. I'm a huge fan of his, obviously. He is definitely one of the people, like I was talking about. When I got to talk to him, it was just truly, it was moving. He talks like you think he does. He has a specific way of talking and of writing that really comes through. And a fun thing about him is that he and I grew up a couple towns over from each other.
Oh, wow.
That is not why he wrote the foreword. We didn't know each other then. But he gives me, we're both from these kind of like deep suburbs of Chicago. And there's something about him that came through in the character and also came through to me that was like, he feels like home to me. He feels like a guy from the Midwest, which is what he is. He reminds me a lot of my dad, even though we're only a few years apart in age.
That's so awesome. The dad energy, I think, is very real with Nick Offerman. Tell me about how you uncovered how the show did find its legs over time and was able to stay on the air for so long.
Yeah, it was a lot of, like I said, it was kind of nice for storytelling purposes because almost every season it was like, oh, they almost, got axed. And then they would like pull off one great episode or something weird would happen. I mean, one of the stranger things that happened is that Amy Poehler got pregnant during the run of the show, and they actually partly got back on the air the next year by saying to NBC, we have to shoot this now. We have to shoot it early before she becomes too pregnant. And so they kind of just like snuck it in that way, and it stayed on the air again. Like, there's a bunch of these stories. And also just, it turns out that some of our favorite stories that ended up on the air, like Andy and April getting married, were kind of them being like, we might not be here next season. We're just going to throw it all in while we can. And it becomes this like exciting kind of almost propulsive story, particularly the romances, because they were just like, let's just do it.
They were so earnest, though. Like, you could really, I mean, you just were rooting for all the characters so much during all of those seasons. Well, and what about something like, we forget how impactful these shows are in our popular culture, like something like Galentine's Day that people really celebrate now.
Yeah, I wrote a book about Seinfeld, and that had its own holidays that it invented, like Christmas. And
Yes.
so this really reminds me of that in an extremely similar way, in the sense that there are definitely people, especially younger people, who maybe if they haven't watched it, they don't even realize that this truly did invent that. Like it did not exist, and then they did it. And I love how it reflects the ethos of the show too, and particularly Leslie Knope, the main character. Her love of female friendship in particular and friendship in general comes through in that. And I think that's such a lovely legacy for them to leave.
Absolutely. And there were so many great established actors who joined the cast. And then you look at somebody like Chris Pratt. I mean, that's how a lot of America met him, and what a megastar he is now.
That one's wild, you have to admit. I mean, thinking of his character there. And one thing that I love about him is that I mean, remember how funny these people are. People like Amy Poehler, the funniest people we know. And all of them said to me how funny this guy was. A lot of them said he was the funniest one you know, in the cast. And that's really, he was a really crack improviser in particular. And he is with some improv champs here.
That's huge. Well, and what about, I mean, I just remember distinctly seeing Rob Lowe appear, and then this phrase literally that we all just say now, and it's like, how? How did we get here?
It's so crazy. I loved that one too because Mike Schur, who created the show, told me that it was one of the few times in his life that somebody came in to meet with him. So, Rob joined later in the show, and Rob came in to meet with him, and he said, like, it's just one of these weird things where the minute we started talking, this whole character almost like formed before me. I knew exactly what I wanted him to be. And it's like Rob's spirit, but kind of, also goofy is essentially the character, I think. And you have to deal with somebody like him, you have to deal with the fact that he's like incredibly handsome and very fit. And so he just kind of folded that right into the character. And I love this character for him. And I think he really loved it too.
Okay, we want to mention that people can pre-order the book now, but before we let you go, I want to mention your previous book that you dove into, Sex and the City, because we just finished, and just like that, what's your take on the finale and then kind of ending the chapter for all those women?
Yeah, man, this has been rough. I love these characters. I think it's actually been kind of a weird kind of fun to talk to fellow fans about this show because it inspires a lot of ire. And the finale did not let us down in that category. It was not my favorite half hour of television ever, and I have a lot of complaints. But it allowed us, to bond with other women, to bond with our fellow fans. I have found you can walk into like your hair salon and just sort of bring this up, and everybody has an opinion, and that has been kind of fun.
It's so true. And how fun for you to follow along with like all the insider knowledge this whole time. And I could talk to you about that for hours. But hey,
yes,
so appreciate your time.
I
We so appreciate your time, and we cannot wait for the official release of this book. Thank you so much for stopping by again.
Thank you for having me. Always lovely to be here.
Of course. Okay, the book again is Parks and Rec. It is available for pre-order now. We'll have more information on our website at katu.com. We'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this.